Hey everybody, welcome back to Brew Sports. Welcome to Happy Hour, our third daily show that we're going to run every single Monday through Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Central Time. We welcome you inside the studio. If you've been able to join us for some of our other broadcasts we've had throughout the day, we thank you for that opportunity to check out what Brew Sports has to offer for you. We had two up front earlier today with myself and Simon Provan. If you maybe missed the morning brew from 7 to 8 a.m. Central with myself and Jamie Evers, that's definitely something to go back and check out. And of course, our lunchtime show, Halftime, go and check that out as well, too, myself and Tanner Burke. We do have one more exciting show coming up for you later on tonight as well, as Ryan Theus and Barry Nelson will jump on to do the college road trip from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time, so make sure you go check that out. But we welcome you inside now to Happy Hour. I am Baxter Colburn. I'm joined by Teaka Griesbach. Teaka, great to see you. Welcome to Happy Hour. How are we doing today?
Good. A little bit nervous, but
a little bit nervous? Oh, come on now. There's no reason to be nervous. It's an exciting time. You get to talk about sports. You just get to see what the heck is going on. But before we get to any of that, though, I feel like we need to let people know a little bit more about ourselves and just kind of reiterate why we like the sports world so much. So why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourself and just some of the teams and players that you support and love so much.
Sure. All right. So as Baxter said, my name is Teaka Griesbach. I'm going to go ahead right away and tell you that my mom made up my name. Everyone always asks right away.
I always wondered, yeah.
Yeah, they always ask, does your name stand for something? Is it short for something? It's just Teaka. My mom made it up. But I'm excited to be here. I'm really excited to hopefully bring a new perspective to the table. I grew up as a dancer my whole life. I never was really into sports. But
Interesting.
I do have two older brothers, so they were very into sports. But I would never really join them outside in the summer when they played sports because they always had each other. So I just did my dance thing. But they mostly played football was their main sport. And so for whatever reason, I always was more interested in basketball. So I was excited when I got the opportunity to dance for the NBA. The 2014-2015 season, I danced for the Milwaukee Bucks. So that only enhanced my love of basketball. Yeah. So really excited about the opportunity. It was awesome. I only did it for a year just because I decided I wanted to start focusing on my education or continue focusing on my education. I go to school at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and I graduate this spring.
Ooh, are you excited? Or you're just like, thank you, God? Yeah. Has it been a fast 4 years, though? Some people like it took way too long, and other people like it flew by.
It flew by.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
I still have 2.5 more months, but...
True, but still, you only have 2.5 more months, though. Like, senior year didn't it just start, though? Like, that's crazy. Yeah. That's a lot of crazy stuff. Well, who do you support, though? Where does your fandom lie when you tell people, be like, you know what, I am a sports fan because I support this team or I support this player?
I have to say the Milwaukee Bucks, just because
really?
Because I
you don't hear a lot of diehard Bucks fans, so that's completely fine.
There's some people back home from my hometown that are big Bucks fans, but as a Milwaukee Bucks dancer alumni,
of course, you have to.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan, and that just, like I said, enhanced my love for the Bucks.
Any other Wisconsin sports at all, or just Bucks?
Badgers, Packers,
the whole mitten or the whole glove, I guess, rather not the mitten. Sorry, Michigan people. Good Lord.
Always lived in Wisconsin, so.
There you go. Well, that's exciting. Well, we're excited to have you on the show, of course, as the co-host for this. We're going to be here Monday through Friday talking about the hot topics in the sports world, sharing some other insight with people as well, too. So we've got a lot of great stuff coming up for you today that you're definitely going to not want to miss. We do encourage you that are watching, of course, live on Facebook to drop comments about anything that we do talk about. We definitely want to hear from you. One of our big topics that we're going to talk about in just a moment is whether or not the NFL refs should be paid. There's some interesting information and articles that have been coming out about that as well, too. So we are going to get to that here in just a brief moment. But really fast history about me. If you've been watching earlier, you already know my whole little spiel here. But been in broadcasting for about 6 years. Work for Attention Area Media, which is the parent company here for Brew Sports. I'm just excited and blessed, honestly, to have this opportunity to get to talk about sports on a daily basis with Teaka, with Tanner, with Jamie, and with Simon as well, too. So I feel like I've got the greatest job in the world, honestly, because I get to work with the greatest people in the world as well, too. So we've got a lot of great stuff coming up for you, and I'm excited to do it, honestly. Are you ready to do it?
I'm ready.
All right.
Let's
so first thing that we think is rather interesting. You found this article, Teaka, so give us a little bit more info about what exactly people are mulling over about the NFL right now.
Well, the NFL is considering making referees full-time.
Interesting.
I found that and thought it was really interesting. It really caught my eye. But, some of the positives, they're going to have better centralized training. I think that'll ultimately give the refs better consistency.
True.
I think that's going to be a really big positive. And
yeah, I would agree with you on that one. It's so interesting, too, when you look at being a referee for professional sports, it's different for baseball because you have 160 whatever games. You know, the NHL, you've got 85 or 84, something like that. The NBA's got a ton of games as well, too. But the NFL, you only work 16 games, regular season games. I know there's preseason in there as well, too, of course, and sometimes the playoffs if you get chosen, of course. But NFL referee is, and the average at least currently is working out to, by the year 2019, referees are going to be paid $205,000 to work 16 days in an entire calendar year, basically. And I know that there's other stuff that goes into it, of course, so I want to take anything away from the NFL referees, but I feel like that is a bit ridiculous?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, that's a huge amount of money and when you just 16 games, I mean,
like I said, maybe 20 if you get 4 preseason games, maybe 22 or so if you do playoff games as well, too, but if you're getting paid almost over $200,000 to work a couple times a year. Some people might say, well, that's a dream job. That's what I want to do. And if you're obviously a professional athlete, you're getting paid even more than that to work literally about the same. But these are people, though, that they're not getting health benefits. They're not getting a pension. They're not getting paid time off as well, too. So you're dedicating 30 to 40 hours of your week outside of your already normal job to then go and do this other almost full-time job, basically, but you don't get the benefits. But do you need the benefits, though? Because a lot of these guys already have full-time jobs.
Right.
I don't know if that's...
There's a lot of positives and negatives to this.
Do you feel like referees are overpaid for the jobs that they have to do?
I mean, that's a lot of money, and I think that maybe we should start considering...
I feel like that money could go someplace else, I feel like. But when you have the NFL, though, that makes $9 billion a year, sure, the money's got to go somewhere, but couldn't you do more positive things with the money, I feel like, at that point? I mean, Corey agrees with us on Facebook as well, too. He was saying, that's a lot of money, but a lot of money on the line, huge responsibility. And how many times do we hear the age-old thing, refs messed up the game, refs screwed this up, refs screwed that up? I mean, it happens way too often, I feel like. And for the amount of money you're being paid, of course, you can flip it again for the professional athletes. Well, you're being paid $18 million a year. You think you could, throw a pass 50 yards and not have it intercepted. Like, come on. It's everybody's. There's a lot of responsibility that I feel like that goes with that. But I don't know. I don't know exactly if referees are being paid too much or what the suitable amount of money would be.
Right. That's a good question. I mean, I definitely... I don't know. I think that's a little much.
I do agree. So,
what would be a good amount?
Is even $100,000 too much to work that little, or that much? I don't know. If you're working that much, I guess basically. I mean, you hear about, and some of my friends that I have. One of her mothers works, or her mom, not her mom. She doesn't have multiple mothers, but her mom works as a tax accountant. So come tax season, she makes $100,000 for 3 months of work. But she works 13, 14 hours a day doing that sort of thing. So, and I mean, something like taxes is important. That's a way of life. It's a government issue. You have to do it. Playing sports, some people might say, is a luxury. Or refereeing sports is a luxury, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's so many different ways that you go with this, of course. We want to hear from you guys as well, too, on Facebook as well. Let us know your comments if you think that the referees are freaking out about it. Ryan's saying, too, that the NHL and the NBA both get 82 games a year. So those referees, and we were looking even beforehand, a veteran Major League Baseball referee makes right around $400,000 a year. But they also get paid time off. They get benefits. They get all that stuff because that literally is their job because they're working 140-plus days a year, basically, which makes sense, I guess. Mm-hmm. I mean, how often do you ever hear, though, about other players or other leagues saying, hey, our players aren't getting paid enough, or our medical staff, or whatever? So I feel like that money could be allocated so much better, honestly.
Yeah, I think it definitely could.
It really just depends, honestly, I guess, with that when you really talk to different people. So let us know your thoughts about that, of course, on Facebook. That way you can get into the conversation. James makes a good point as well, too. He says nurses who saves lives should be paid more than people to make calls in a professional game. I've also heard people saying that about teachers. My wife was a teacher for a year and a half. I mean, I can divulge the fact that she didn't get paid nearly that much money to teach, even though she was in a very good district as well, too. But you're helping shape the future rather than shaping, a game. It's just a game at the end of the day.
When you compare it to, teaching to referees, I think that
exactly.
When you compare it that way, it seems pretty.
And ridiculous. I can even we can even give shout outs to those people that work in the news industry. How many times do you hear people that I work a 10, 12-hour shift, to report the news or to be a journalist, basically, and I get paid $25,000 a year if I'm lucky, and I get crappy insurance and 2 days paid vacation. these are people that are helping fuel the world as a whole. I mean, it's also kind of funny, too, when you consider, and I could be totally wrong on this, but the President of the United States, I think, makes $400,000 a year. I could be totally wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure. And you're seeing a Major League Baseball referee getting paid equally to that. But it's hard to compare apples to apples, honestly, in that situation. So I don't know.
It just sounds crazy when you compare it, though.
It is. You're absolutely right about that. Ryan also commented as well on Facebook saying he got paid $40 to ref Pop Warner football games for 8-year-olds. So, he would say 6 figures is, of course, a decent amount for the level and the exposure the NFL referees are subject to. It's a good positive argument for it in that regards, I guess, saying, well, hey, you're under already so much pressure. Why wouldn't you get paid that much money?
I don't know.
I don't know. I have a hard time justifying that either way, I feel like. So. Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, like we said, we want to know your guys' thoughts and comments about that. We want to move along to a couple other things that we've got planned for you here on the show as well, too. Teaka, you found some very interesting videos for us that you thought would make a good thing to share, of course. A couple of feel-good, funny kind of moments, I guess, that we've exposed. So tell us about that first video that you found, and then we'll take a look at it here.
The wrestling one, the first one?
Yes, we'll do the wrestling one we'll do first, basically.
I saw this earlier this morning and thought it was cute and funny. There's a young boy who wants no part of wrestling with a young girl. Let's play it.
All right, we'll take a look at it here fast, and then we'll talk about it. He really just has no reason or rhyme to want to be involved in that fight, basically, since even from the get-go. And even when he finally lays down to get pinned, he just is like, I
don't really know.
I don't know.
I don't know if he's nervous or if someone had told him about cooties right before. Or
well, this mom posted it on her Instagram, and then of course Fox Sports and a lot of other people have picked it up as well too. But I mean, it was funny too. They really just kind of lay out the details. Like, was he practicing for track season? Was he, did he have a crush on her, and he was just trying to play hard to get? I mean, like. I mean, what do you say at that? I mean, these kids are probably he couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 years old. Honestly, I don't think he was that old when you were doing something like that. But kind of funny, honestly, to see it that regards. All right, moving on to the next one. What's this next one that you found, courtesy of The Guardian?
So this next one, they gave a little boy the opportunity to score the winning shot. Score the winning shot.
So Marquette University, right here in our beautiful Milwaukee, did something with Make-A-Wish for a boy named Luca during their basketball practice. So take a look. Kind of a cool moment here.
You got it out. You got it out. Luca, you're going to be down here on the baseline. And Luke's going to help you out on this one, okay? Mm-hmm. Give the ball to Luca. Pick him up. And dunk that thing. He can dunk it. He can dunk. No pressure. We're only down 1.
No pressure. Go, Luca, go.
Get down. Get up.
That's awesome. It's always cool to see stuff like that as well, too. I feel like when you're, obviously Luca understands, like, it's just practice, just for fun, but to be able to be a part of that and to feel part of that community, I feel like it's just such kind of a cool feel good moment, honestly.
It's so heartwarming. And then I think after that they continue to chant his name, and I can imagine that just made his month. I'm sure
absolutely.
It was so exciting.
Absolutely. The last video we want to share with you as well, too, as we're kind of just doing some fun and feel-good moment here videos with you briefly, has to do from a college basketball game. Fresno State and Boise State were playing just a couple of days ago, and The Guardian, among other people, reported this basically. A basketball, as you'll see here, gets stuck in the basketball hoop. It doesn't happen very often. Sometimes it gets stuck by the rim, but this gets lodged in such an awkward place that you kind of see that people had to turn to different ways to basically try to force the ball out. So a hero comes to the rescue here. Take a look.
It's 2017. Isn't there an app for this?
This is the ultimate game of horse. If you can also get the ball to go in the bucket, you should get points. That's my feeling.
The commentary is even better.
This guy's about to break the basket.
That's Lazaro Rojas, who is redshirting. 6'11", the freshman out of Brazil. He's making contact, but he can't quite get it free. Oh, and here's a little fella.
This is great.
They're going to allow this little guy to do it?
Get it.
He's a chance to be a hero.
This young man will be on national television everywhere.
Hey.
There you go. He's going to forever remember the day.
Scholarship.
He will never forget that.
Get a scholarship. I love it. MVP, the crowd loving it. But that's kind of funny too. Dad and the family, they're just on those front court seats basically. We're like, I could go get that. I could make that happen basically.
Coming to a game, gonna have fun, and who would have thought? Now their kid's famous.
There you go. Yeah, seriously though, like national television. You're just like, okay, I'm just gonna throw you up in the stands here really fast. You can go ahead and grab that. Kind of funny. Aaron also here on Facebook says, did you see the transgender student on hormones in Texas won the state wrestling championship? I did see. I read the article. I saw about it, but I don't know if you got a chance to see that or not, Teaka. Basically, so there's a lot of people that are up in arms, and correct me if I'm wrong, listeners and viewers, but there's a transgender student that was a guy that transgendered or changed to a female, and then went undefeated in the wrestling and the high school wrestling division that she was in, and won the state title. And people are up in arms because they're saying, well, it was really a guy wrestling in a girls division, even though he changed gender and was now a female technically. And some people are boycotting that. People are saying that's absolutely ridiculous, like it shouldn't be allowed. This is always a hard subject to try to dance around, because you obviously, it needs to be talked about at times. It needs to be communicated properly, but you never know officially which side of the fence to fall on when it comes to stuff like this.
And I'm sure she's feeling great, having won. Yeah. And then to see all the backlash on the internet.
Exactly.
That it's not fair. She shouldn't have won.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel like that was something that shouldn't be allowed? If you, for transgender, I feel like that, there's a lot of different ways I feel like that you can go with that.
Right. I definitely see both sides of it. I understand. I get why people would think like, oh, well, that doesn't seem fair, just because she used to be a guy. But I also think that, that he had felt that he wanted to change, and he wanted to, compete in the sport as a woman. And we should, I think it should be celebrated too. Good for him for, making that change. I know it's a hard change to make, and it's becoming more and more popular, but I don't know. I definitely see both sides of it, and it's a hard
it's a hard thing, because
about.
no matter really which way you come down on it, like my first initial reaction when I heard this, I was like, no, it shouldn't be allowed. I'm like, you used to be a boy. Like, you physically are made stronger. Oh, it was. Okay, so a correction, apparently it was a girl that transitioned to a guy. He was on roids and wrestled in the division he was born a female, but wrestled in the guys division. But that's interesting, though. See, that changes it now.
Yeah, that does make it a little bit different. It does.
I feel like that changes the whole conversation, basically, when you are trying to figure out if it's okay. But I feel like either way, though, I feel like anytime there is that transgender movement in sports, I feel like you're kind of taking yourself out of the game. Yeah. I feel like if I was a female and I wanted to be a guy so that way I could play football or feel more accepted to play football, I feel like that would be so much more, I feel like that would be hard. I feel like, no, you made the switch. You are no longer, you're I don't know. I see, that's the thing. There's like, how do you phrase it? You start
thinking about it one way, and then you're like, well.
Yeah, because at the same time, though, if you are a female, you can technically play sports, especially in high school. You can, if your high school does not offer the sport in your specific gender. So hypothetically, if there was a girls soccer team and there was no guys soccer team, to my knowledge, depending on the state rules, guys can try out for the girls team and vice versa, basically. Because I went to high school with a couple of people that would play sports for the guys teams, or I had a good friend in high school that was the starting kicker for one of the big high schools in the city that I grew up for, and she was celebrated. She was an incredible athlete on the soccer field. That's why she was a good kicker too, because she had so much power. But how do you I don't know. I don't know the best way to address something like this, and I'm hoping that more people can comment here on Facebook
I'm wondering
as well
what
too.
everyone else is thinking about
Some
this.
people have been sharing their thoughts a little bit about it. James comments about it. Aaron says this first. He said any other girl on steroids would have been banned. He said he said it's not fair.
How do you draw the line?
Yeah, how do you draw the line? James says he tried to compete in boys division, but the Texas law says that they must compete in what their birth certificate says. The rules say that, apparently. So even though since she was born and she became a man, she had to compete there, and she won that way. So either way, just a really weird situation, I feel like, as a whole, as you try to really address what the best way is to kind of to shuffle through a lot of that, honestly. So some people will agree with it. Some people will say, no, that's wrong. I don't know.
Like you're always going to have that. No matter.
It is. And anytime you get into the conversation of transgender, you always run into where do we go from here, basically, kind of a thing. So, all right, moving on a little bit from that as well to Dancing with the Stars has made some exciting announcements recently as well. Teaka, they've announced their new roster of stars for the 2017 show that's going to be coming out, headlined by Olympian Simone Biles. There's also going to be a figure skater as well. The Cubs forward catcher David Ross is going to be joining there as well. Nancy Kerrigan, the former Olympic figure skater, and NFL running back Rashad Jennings as well. Two professional bull rider, Bonner Bolton as well.
That's very interesting.
Are all contestants with the athletic backgrounds. I've always wondered too. You're a dancer.
Yeah.
You danced for a long time. I have a ballroom dancing background myself as well too. Fun fact. I didn't know if you knew that.
No.
Comment with your favorite style of dancing below, by the way. If it's more of like the shake or if you're more of like a ballroom, we'd love to hear that. But yeah, when you bring athletes into this, so many times you hear athletes, and maybe your experience has been different. You bring athletes purposely try to take dancing lessons to get better balance, to be more elite, to be more physically fit. Because as you can attest, I mean, you were in shape, even though some people are like, well, you were just dancing, you weren't hitting anything, you weren't running really fast.
Well, I've had it happen so many times too growing up. Like guys would say, oh, it's like you could never do sports, but like I could dance, like it's not that hard. But then once they're thrown into it, or once they see how like the hard work that goes into it and the balance you have to be able to count to music. I mean, I'm sure that's something that some of these athletes are going to have to learn going into it as well. I think that Simone and Nancy are both going to have a little bit of I think it's going to be a little easier for them because as a gymnast and as a figure skater,
you're already
they have
dancing
the balance,
on the ice.
They know how to count to music.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So they have some of those in their
I don't know what the catcher's going to be able to do, or the bull rider.
That's what I'm thinking. Simone and Nancy are going to have a little step up just because they have the balance and they have that stuff down. But I don't know.
I mean, you've seen former players and athletes as well too. Emmitt Smith, Jerry Rice, Donald Driver, former Green Bay Packer, won Dancing with the Stars. That was the big thing for a long time. Like Donald Driver doing the country dance. I thought
Super
that was
exciting.
a really cool thing. But at what point do you feel like? I feel like some of the people that they choose is just kind of ridiculous at some points. Like, why are you bringing a professional bull rider into this? Why are you bringing in a baseball player? Sometimes some people might, if I was playing professional football, playing professional soccer, I would definitely make the fact that I had a dancing background known and be like, I would totally go on something like this. Even now, if they want me, I'm not much of a star, but I'd be like, pick me. I would totally be on. I think that would be an awesome thing to be able to do, honestly.
I think they choose some of the people to purposely choose some people to keep it interesting.
Yes.
And you can't choose people that all, are going to succeed in it. You have to choose people that are going to, they're going to have to work hard and work for it.
Exactly. And that's why sometimes people are like, well, if we choose professional athletes, well, they're going to work hard. They already have had to work hard for their job as a whole. So why wouldn't they work hard again in this situation? Which makes sense. I totally get that. James says salsa dancing is his favorite type. Aaron says he likes to tango with his wife. What is your favorite style of dancing? Do you have a preference? Even if it wasn't ballroom, what was your go-to?
I did take a ballroom dancing lesson with my dad once. It was super fun. But
I love ballroom dancing.
I did almost everything growing up. So I had ballet class. I did jazz, lyrical tap, hip hop. So I have pom, jazz. I said jazz already.
I think so, yeah.
So many. But yeah, I pretty much tried everything out. And so I think probably jazz was the most fun for me. And tap was up there too.
Yeah, I would agree.
Tap was really fun.
I did jazz and hip hop for 1 year. I did a routine. I remember, since you're from the Green Bay, generally remember Barb Center for Dance. I remember if you
I danced there growing up.
There you go. I was there for a year or two. Maybe we danced together in another life,
Maybe.
Teaka. You never know. did a routine with them for a year, did their whole fall showcase or whatever. It was a great
my
time.
gosh,
Paid like
that's
$6,000 for, like
Yep.
a piece of duct tape and a hat, basically. And like, there's your outfit. Be like, what? I feel like dancing outfits are ridiculous, and I don't want to go on too big of a tangent here, but can we talk about how much money goes into dance outfits that you wear one time?
My mom would love to talk about this.
I bet she should. We need to get Mama Griesbach on the show. Be like, how much money have you spent on Teaka just on dancing? You'd be like, we don't even want to talk about that.
I think that's what she would say, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah, it's a very expensive hobby. But
it is. It's ridiculous, but they work so hard though too, which is crazy.
And you've experienced
I did ballroom for 6 years. I had a blast with it. It was a great dance. How I met my wife ultimately was doing ballroom dancing as well too. So
Fun fact.
The more you know, Teaka. Corey comments on Facebook as well too. He says he really likes to do hip hop dance. Likes a lot of people think that's a really
Very
good workout.
entertaining.
There's the workout program Size, which is a workout that you do a dance routine progressively. You learn more of the steps as you progressively go through, and then you put it all together at the end, and it's more of a workout type of thing, and it's really slick. So I know a lot of people like to do that. And then James also said his cousin's a dancer, and she practices every day for 4 hours, and then has about an 8 to 10 hour practices on the weekends as well too. I can't even imagine. I mean, you think about like what athletes do. You think about what, and once again, as soon as you say the word athlete, and you put the dancers in another category, people lose their minds. I will say the only time I ever go to bat for something like that is I say cheerleading's not a sport, and then people freak out on me. Yeah. But that's a whole other topic for another time. But dancers are definitely athletes because their bodies, 9 times out of 10, are almost in better shape than the cross-country runners and the soccer players and the football, basketball, like all of that. Like I have mucho respect for people like
They're
that.
just a different kind of athlete.
Exactly. I completely agree with you on that one too. I mean, you said you received kind of criticism though too growing up about, you're a dancer. Like you wouldn't understand what it means to do this or do that.
Or you're a girly girl, because I only did dance. I think I tried volleyball like in middle school.
So didn't you say you played volleyball? Yeah, I think you played volleyball in like 8th grade.
A little bit, in middle school, which I enjoyed. It was different, but dancing was that was my thing. You mentioned Barb Center for Dance. I danced there, and I was on the dance team for my high school at the same time. So it was just very busy growing up.
Sounds like it. And that's the thing too. Like my niece is a dancer, and she used to dance I think 5 or 6 days a week where she lives, and now she's cut back a lot too because she does show choir as well too now in high school. Sure. So she supplemented her dance with her show choiring a little bit as well too. So totally different to an extent. Show choir still takes a lot out of you as well too. Sure. But it's always kind of funny though to see the different things that people do when it comes to showing what kind of dancing that they like to do, or kind of entertainment, basically. So, all right, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to bring in one of our soccer correspondents to talk about the SheBelieves Cup. So we will have part 2 of Happy Hour coming up in 2 minutes. So stay with us. It is Brew Sports live right here. We'll be back with more right after this. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Happy Hour as we are live here on Brew Sports. I am Baxter Colburn.
And I'm Teaka Griesbach.
All right, Teaka, a good show thus far as we have dived into the world of whether or not NFL refs should be paid full-time, with the benefits and the thousands of dollars they get paid already. There's a lot of discussion that can go back on that. We got on a dancing, a little bit of a tangent basically, talking about Dancing with the Stars, talking about if dancers are athletes. You gave us some good insight about that. Ballroom dancing, love ballroom dancing. Just kind of talked about a lot of great stuff so far. Now we get to transition into the world of professional soccer. We get to be joined by one of our women's soccer correspondents, Lee Nevis. She joins us now. Lee, welcome to Happy Hour. How are we doing today?
Hey guys, I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. We are excited to have you. So today, Lee, kicks off the SheBelieves Cup, and it's going to be the United States, Germany, England, and France all duking it out for a shot at semi-ish international glory. It's not a huge FIFA crazy big tournament. It's not the World Cup. It's it's not the CONCACAF. It's not the Olympics, of course, but it still means a lot to the people, I feel like, involved. But before we get to the whole tournament as a bit, what are your general thoughts about the roster that Jill Ellis has assembled for the SheBelieves Cup?
Well, I think overall this roster kind of reiterates the fact that we are kind of moving towards a new style of play for the roster for 2017. I think that it's very clear that we're kind of building up to the 2019 World Cup, and I don't think that it's necessarily a roster that's looking to win every game in 2017, but I definitely think that bringing in new talent, I mean, the youngest player right now, if Brianna Pinto gets capped, she's 16 years old. I mean,
unbelievable.
Clearly, I don't think that, I know, it's insane, but I think that she's really kind of sticking to kind of finding new young talent and kind of building for 2018.
I mean, what were you doing with your life at 16, Lee? Were you being capped by the women's national team as well, too, for your incredible soccer skills?
No, Lord, I was probably just trying not to flunk a class in high school. That's probably what I was trying to do.
Yeah, the normal grind as it is in high school, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Lee, who do you think is likely to get the most playing time going into this?
A couple months ago, I probably would have said Becky Sauerbrunn. But now that we're seeing this whole new 3-back system happening, and I think Jill Ellis seems so dead set on having Allie Long the center back, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not a fan of the center back, Allie Long.
I know, and I think it's like I love Allie Long as a player so much. I think she's so incredible. But Allie Long the center back for me is kind of like the best analogy I can find is like shopping for like furniture at IKEA. Like, the idea of it seems like, oh, that won't be too bad. It'll be great. No big deal. And then it actually happens, and you're like, maybe we should have thought of another plan. Like,
maybe we should have gone to JCPenney Outlet or someplace else that actually puts instructions in English.
Totally. So I think that after tonight's game, especially against Germany, I think that Germany is going to be a huge testament. Even if we start with a 3-back and everything goes well tonight, I really do foresee her kind of being the staple, honestly. But, it'll just depend on the outcome tonight.
That is true. Talk to me about the midfield, Lee. There's a lot of different players from a lot of different walks of life. Of course, you've got the veteran Carly Lloyd, but then Sam Mewis has really sort of had a coming-out party the last calendar year, basically, and then it kind of just goes all over the place from there. I mean, I know Mal Pugh was technically listed as a forward, but she's played some midfield time. You've got Lynn Williams, of course, who can play on the wing at times. Then you flip around. Of course, there's Allie Long, who should be a midfielder. You've got Rose Lavelle, Tobin Heath, Lindsay Horan, Crystal Dunn, Morgan Bryan. You can kind of go all over the place with that. But more so a younger batch of midfielders for the women's national team for this tournament. But your thoughts about the players that Jill Ellis opted to keep?
Well, I think that it was very telling that Andy Sullivan, who played for Stanford, who ended up tearing her ACL this past fall, she was doing so wonderful with the team. So I think that Jill Ellis kind of wanted her to kind of be that defensive mid, the holding mid for this tournament. Obviously, now that she's torn her ACL, I wouldn't be surprised if we see someone like Sam Mewis or Rose Lavelle. Hopefully Rose gets her first cap. I would love to see them. I think that they're both incredible players, especially Sam Mewis. I'm such a huge Sam Mewis fan. I love her. She's amazing.
Do I make you mad if I tell you that Sam Mewis and I are friends?
Are you serious? I am actually really jealous right now. I met her once.
We'll talk after the show, but Sam and I are
oh my God,
decent-ish friends, yes.
Yeah. She is incredible. I'm such a huge fan of her as a player. I think she's great.
She is. She really is.
So I think that it's going to be really interesting to see kind of what is happening in the defensive midfield tonight. I think we're going to see a lot of young faces. But other than that, I mean, Crystal Dunn has just been absolute beast mode lately. So
True.
oh my gosh, I'm really, really excited to see her throughout this entire tournament.
Awesome. What do you think, or what does it mean to you to have a major tournament with 4 of the very best national teams here in the U.S.?
I think it's really important for the growth of women's soccer in the U.S. I think that it's so important that we have 4 of the top 5 best international teams playing here, especially that it's going to be televised on Fox. It's not going to be like a YouTube stream or anything like that.
So illegal, download a website from China, basically, just to be able to watch women's soccer.
Exactly. But no, I think it's great, and I think it's amazing too that now every year the U.S. has, real amazing competition that they have once a year, especially in years like this where we're not trying to, prep for a huge tournament later in the season.
True.
It's more just like a year of rebuilding, and I think that to have teams like Germany and France and England to play them every year is going to be just awesome for not only the fans here, but for the actual national team.
What do you think about the NWSL players? I know, get rid of, Kristen Press, Becky Sauerbrunn, get rid of them, but you get Lynn Williams, you get Casey Short, Emily Sonnet, Jess McDonald, these gals that have, Sam Mewis especially, that have just grinded in NWSL and now are really finding their true light basically now at the national team stage. Is that a testament to that young movement or new fresh face movement that Jill Ellis made a statement about last year? Or is it just the fact that these players and this league are just really getting to a elite level?
Well, I think it's both, honestly. I'm very, very happy that Jill Ellis has kind of kept her promise and said that she was going to start actually paying attention to the NWSL.
And we're back here on Happy Hour. All right, Lee, so we were just briefly talking about the NWSL and the players that Jill Ellis has on her roster for the SheBelieves Cup. Do you feel like because of how well the NWSL has been just continuously going on the up and up, that is a true testament to these players as well, too? I mean, we've seen Lynn Williams, we've seen Jess McDonald, we've seen Sam Mewis, they're just grind and continuously try to get better in the league. And now Jill Ellis is honoring those players as well, too, with incredible opportunities at the national team level. Is this the fact that the league is getting better? Are these players getting better? What's the secret here, basically, to all these NWSL players finding their spot now here on the national team?
I think that, I'm really, really happy that Jill Ellis has kind of kept her promise and said that she's going to bring in different players from the NWSL who are doing great, who maybe have not been called up before, kind of like, Casey Short, Lynn Williams, kind of how they got thrown into the mix. I think it is a real true testament of how much better the league is getting over the years. And I think that there's also another side of it, too, that people are worried because we have players like Crystal Dunn and Alex Morgan and Carly Lloyd all leaving to go play overseas. But
True.
I think ultimately for them, I think being in the NWSL for the rest of their careers just doesn't seem very optimal, and I think that they're trying to expand as much as they can, and I really don't think that it's a reflection of the actual competition that is within the league right now.
Makes sense to me. All right, final question from me, at least, Lee. The goalkeeper battle is something that we haven't really had to talk about in recent years because it's always been Hope Solo, Hope Solo, Hope Solo. Now we actually have a conversation in the fact of, is it Alyssa Nair? Is it going to be Ashlyn Harris? Is Jane Campbell going to storm out of nowhere and be the starting goalkeeper? Highly unlikely. But what do you make of the three goalkeepers, and who's your opening night starter?
I think that Nair is probably going to get the start tonight. I would love to see Harris because, I'm a big Ashlyn Harris fan. I think her acrobatics are just incredible in the net. But I think Jill is kind of indicating a lot over the past couple months and the past year that Alyssa is probably number one and then Harris is probably number two. But I also would love to see Ashlyn Harris get some minutes this tournament because I think she's, a very, very tiny, tiny bit behind Nair. I don't think that
it's not much, really. It isn't.
Correct. Of course, yeah. So I think that Alyssa will probably get the start tonight, but I really would love to see Ashlyn Harris in another game in this tournament.
Are we going to see Jane Campbell at all, you think, or just probably no chance for her at this point?
Unless she has just absolutely wowed Ellis in camp and in training, I don't foresee. I would be very surprised if we saw Jane Campbell this week.
Fair enough. Makes total sense. All right, Lee, well, we appreciate your time joining us today here on Happy Hour. Where can people find your work and find you on social media as well?
You can find me on Twitter at Lee Nevis. It's just my name, LeighNieves. And then I also am a correspondent for Backline Soccer. You can find us at backlinesoccer.com.
Fantastically. Always a pleasure. Let's do it again soon, okay?
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. There goes Lee Nevis. All right, so some good stuff about the SheBelieves Cup overall, and just, women's soccer continues to grow in the United States, and I think because of the success the national team has had over the last couple of years, I think that really has made a big overall difference. I feel like with the growth of soccer as a whole. People say, well, men's soccer got their start in the early '90s. Women's soccer, after they won all their World Cups and their Olympic medals and all that made a big difference, of course. So it's great to see that there are people that are getting paid to cover the leagues, that are getting paid to cover specific teams as well too. I think it's just a testament that women's sports as a whole, the WNBA, all that stuff is on the up and up, basically, which I think is a great testament, honestly. So, all right. Well, before we wrap things up today, Teaka, what final thoughts do you have for us about anything we talked about today or anything in general about the sports world before we close shop for the day?
I think I put it all out there. I'm super excited for dancing. I'm excited to see the athletes, especially the bull rider. I think that'll be really interesting.
Yeah.
And Simone. I'm a big Simone fan, so
course.
I think that I'm really excited for that. But other than that,
Do you have any guilty pleasure TV shows? Are you a Bachelor, or are you a Big Brother, or whatever
I watch The
show?
Bachelor and Bachelorette when I can. But other than that, I try not to watch too much TV.
No,
watch Good Morning America. Oh. Every morning I try to. But other than that, yeah, Bachelor, Bachelorette. That's pretty much it. How about you?
Basically, my TV consumption bases off of what my wife likes to watch, which doesn't happen very often, but she watches The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, so we catch up on that every once in a while. Yay, Corinne is finally gone.
Yes.
Sorry, not sorry, Corinne. You were terrible.
Super excited.
I do hope Nick finds love. I honestly had boycotted this season of The Bachelor. I'm like, totally the worst season. Never going to happen. At this point, I just want him to find love so we can go away.
Yeah.
Be like, Nick, this is your third chance, your fourth chance. You were on Bachelor in Paradise as well. Go away. Figure something out, basically. But then we also watch Grey's Anatomy as well, too. So big Grey's Anatomy fan. Scandal. A little bit How to Get Away with Murder occasionally.
I actually have never watched any of those, but people always tell me.
Grey's Anatomy and Scandal.
Yeah. Okay.
How to Get Away with Murder is weird. Shonda Rhimes kind of lost me on that one, honestly. Either way, comment with your favorite TV show below. We'd love to hear from you. Special thanks to Lee Nevis for joining us, our soccer correspondent as well, to talk about the SheBelieves Cup. We will be back again tomorrow between 4 and 5 p.m. Central Time. You can get us live right here on Brew Sports. Coming up next is the college road trip with Ryan Theus and Barry Nelson, starting at 5 p.m. Central Time right here on Brew Sports. For Teaka Griesbach, I'm Baxter Colburn. This has been Happy Hour. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.